to Fridays here on Men of the Den. My name is Eric, and I am happy to be your host today. It's kind of the middle of the night on Thursday for me. It's like still about 11 o'clock, but I'm doing this video for y'all. This week is Random Week on Men of the Den, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of the books I've been reading because I have been sticking a whole bunch of audiobooks in my ears, and I've been meaning to kind of tell y'all about that. So let's dive into it. So I finished listening to The Iron King by Maurice Druon. The Iron King is one of those novels that was kind of an inspiration to George R. R. Martin when he was coming up with the Game of Thrones series. It's all about the intrigues of the court of France under Philip the Fair and the death of the Knights Templar Jacques de Molay, and some of the sexy and crazy scandals that took place during that time period. And it was a really, really great listening. I loved every minute of listening to that book. It was a lot of fun. Like I said, it was full of like sex and violence, and and you can't go wrong with that. The court of France was a crazy place, and a whole bunch of people went down for all kinds of crazy things, and it was just a rollicking good read. So if you're in, and there's a whole bunch more. This is a series that came out in like the 1970s, and it kind of chronicles the courts of France, England, and Spain. I believe it's all three of them. Maybe it's just the French throne, but at least in that one book, it's the French throne, the Iron King. It's a fantastic read. You should totally give it a chance. Yes, The Iron King by Maurice Druon. Second thing I listened to immediately right after that, I picked up Tales of the Dying Earth by Jack Vance. Jack Vance is, I'm going down a list of inspirational things. Jack Vance was the guy who came up with a lot of the ways that magic works in Dungeons and Dragons systems. So he was the inspiration. He was the father of the magical systems that we see in modern fantasy RPGs. And it has to do with the way that you learn spells. In Jack Vance's magic system, you learn a spell and it kind of gets embedded into your head. You read it off a book and it gets embedded into your head. And then once you use it, it just kind of like goes whoop and goes back into your book. So, so this is something that you see in the way that wizard archetypes work in D&D and other sorts of fantasy settings, Pathfinder as well. Vancian magic, where you learn from a book and you only have that one spell. So anyways, in Tales of the Dying Earth, there's a whole bunch of it's like a series of vignettes, and I have to admit it was a little hard to follow, and I was kind of not really feeling it, but it's very over the top, very kind of Robert Howard, Conan the Barbarian type of deal, where it's larger than life people doing epic things, epic quests, going from other planes of existence and doing magical things, but also in kind of a post-apocalyptic Earth setting. So it was really kind of an interesting thing, but again, I just didn't quite hold my interest. I did it for understanding the D&D magic system better, and I think that I had enough of that. After I put down The Dying Earth, after I finished the Tales of the Dying Earth, I moved on to Night Glass by Leanne Merciel. Night Glass is one of the Pathfinder Tales series of novels. There are a whole slew of them. You see this happen a lot where people who are producing things like RPGs or video games or whatever, and they have like this series of books that comes out to help support like the world building of that. Night Glass is one of those books. Night Glass is a book set in the nation of Nidal. I say Nidal. The guy who's reading the audiobook says Nidal. I think that sounds like a drug. Nidal is basically like the Hellraiser country of Pathfinder. It's a land where they are enthralled to the Shadow Plane and the god of the Shadow Plane, Zon Kuthan. And it's a fascinating kind of story about this boy, Icem, who kind of gets raised up in the cult of Zon Kuthan and becomes a shadow caller, kind of a summoner mage and semi-priest of Zon Kuthan. And the people of Nidal are kind of like very pale and white hair and that kind of thing. And he's sent on a mission to serve the Umbral Court, but he doesn't want to serve the Umbral Court. He wants to get the hell out because he wants to see the world. And so he signs up with a Chilaxian contingent to go rout out some winged creatures known as Strix from a mining operation. And he winds up hooking up with the Strix and doing work to help support them and to help fend off the Chilaxians so that he can get the hell out of a country that's enthralled to the Infernal Lords. So out of the frying pan into the fire for poor Icem. But Night Glass is a fantastic read, and Leanne Merciel, who is the author of that, is also the author of the forthcoming Pathfinder campaign setting book on Nidal, the Land of Shadows. And she is a very, very compelling writer. And the way that she describes the kinds of pleasurable horrors that take place, the tender mercies of the people of Nidal, is just absolutely fascinating. Right up there with Clive Barker in Hellbound Heart and Hellraiser. Absolutely fantastic read. I also got another book by her. The name of it is escaping me, but that's going to be on the downloadable list eventually too. So Night Glass. Oh, and the name Night Glass actually comes from this kind of scrying mirror that they use to contact the Shadow Plane and pull shadow beings out of it, and craft them into like beings to serve their will. Oh, it's super cool, super cool. So anyways, that's what I've been reading. I'm going to put some links down in the description here after I'm done processing this video so that you can go and check out these books for yourself. And to recap, I talked about The Iron King by Maurice Druon, The Dying Earth, Tales of the Dying Earth by Jack Vance, and Night Glass by Leanne Merciel. If you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe to our channel. If you want to learn more about the books that I talked about, I'm going to put the links down in the crotch in just a few minutes. And if you want to follow us, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram. And I'll see you all next Friday. Cheers.